Rob, we are recording Ruminate, and I had a sixth sense when I looked at the notes. I saw that you had entered a URL under snacks that I can read. I can read the URL and see that it has something to do with McRib sauce and a jug. But I didn't really know what this was until I clicked on it just now.
Uh-huh.
And I see that this is what looks like a very fine website called foodandwine.com, which you would think at foodandwine.com you would only find the finest foods and drinks. But this is a story where the headline says, "Want more sauce on that McRib? McDonald's has you covered with its all-new jug of McRib sauce." This is a half-gallon jug of McRib sauce that's available. It looks like it's going to hit the menus by December 3rd.
And it's only $20. For this entire. Oh, it has sold out by the looks of it. So the McRib is coming back on December 3rd, but the half-gallon jugs of the sauce have sold out, sadly.
In 24 hours it seems, because this article says the 25th that it was going on sale.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm not sure there's a lot more to say about this. I mean, it's McRib sauce, like whatever. But it's funny that you mentioned foodandwine.com, as you'd assume this reputable,
right.
News agency or whatever you might want to call it. Except if you scroll down to the bottom and related articles, I mean, they've managed to pull 8 or 10 other McDonald's related articles.
Well, there are 4 McDonald's articles, mm-hmm. Yes. Plus we have a Wendy's, a Starbucks, a KFC, and a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
We've got it all covered here.
Oh, then there's actually another 8 above where you're looking.
I went all the way to the bottom. I see. Those are 8. Yeah, those 8 are just McDonald's, and there are another 4 McDonald's. We have a total of 12 McDonald's stories.
Yeah, and all written by the same person, or most of them written by the same person. So, this is.
I'm thinking Stacy might be an AI. I don't know.
It's very possible. But, they've got an RSS feed that you could, I can get some more of this in my life if I need it.
Yeah, you could. This is not the website I was looking for, or what I was thinking it was.
No. No, I think, like you said, I feel like I hear food and wine, and I think, this is going to be like a classy, there's recipes, and no.
It seems like restaurant reviews in New York City or something. And
no, just a lot of McDonald's.
All right. No Michelin stars here, Rob. No Michelin stars here. But you can get a jug. And, a word of caution to anybody who bought this. Be very careful to keep that label on the jug, because you could accidentally mistake this for windshield wiper fluid, put it in your car, and I think it would clog up. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, and I don't know how much this has changed, but the McRib wasn't in the UK for quite a while.
It wasn't here either. I think it was kind of retired for many years.
Mm-hmm. And from what I had seen, or at least I remember reading an article about this, I could be misremembering, was that the reason it wasn't for sale over here was because one of the ingredients was illegal for food in the UK. Now, I don't...
Oh, wonderful.
So...
Wonderful. I want to know why the McRib half-gallon jug, the label looks like a bad Christmas sweater. Why is it done as though it was a knitted sweater?
I mean, presumably people are buying these for their family members. It's look, Mum, I love you.
I suppose
this after me.
This is the gift for, the person who has everything.
Yeah, I would be pretty happy with this, I think, although I'd probably use it once and then be like, no, that's enough for me.
Right. And who really can get through a half gallon of any kind of sauce, really, in a reasonable period of time? I think you'd have to be kind of a McRib super fan to work your way through this many ounces of sauce.
Yeah, what about that dude? The fairly famous guy who just eats Big Macs. Do you reckon he likes the McRib?
Oh, he might. He might. This is you could get a little funnel, and you could do you could just drink the sauce. Maybe you could funnel the sauce like people eat hot dogs quickly. They could drink sauce quickly.
I think legally we have to say that this is a joke and that we don't endorse that because
we don't want any barbecue sauce hazing happening out there in our impressionable audience of people who are susceptible to our suggestions for drinking sauce.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's not.
Actually, I want people to do it now. I'm sorry, Rob. I accept responsibility.
Didn't you used to be a lawyer? Come on.
Oh, please don't drink the sauce.
Yeah, don't drink the sauce. Anyway, from one ridiculous online thing to, do you want to talk about, what are we talking about here? Note taking or pens? Which part of this tickled your fancy?
All of it did, because this is a story on The Verge by Liz Lopatto, who decided to write about this video of Sam Altman of OpenAI talking about how he takes notes in a notebook using a pen. And this was posted somewhere, I guess maybe it was on X. It was on Instagram, by Fortune magazine, which I thought was kind of funny. And he talks about the virtues of writing things down, which I think there is a lot of virtue in that. But this is Liz Lopatto just taking him down for his bad taste in notebooks, pens, and note-taking process, much of which I agree with, because he goes on about how he loves a good spiral-bound notebook that he can lie flat, and he likes a ballpoint pen. And he likes to be able to rip the pages out of his notebook, ball them up and throw them on the floor. And he explains how sometimes when the cleaning people come into his office, there's just paper all over the place, which personally, that's when I was hooked. I was like, you know what, this guy, I find that really distasteful. That you think you're such a great CEO, you're sitting around balling up pieces of paper for somebody else to clean up after you. Come on.
You don't have ridiculous. Just a waste paper basket under your desk? Like, come on, man. Like that is just so disrespectful.
I thought it was, first of all, I thought that was just awful, but also kind of fitting in a lot of ways for my view of Mr. Altman. I think he's more sizzle than steak in a lot of ways. He's very, I think nobody has a higher opinion of Sam Altman than probably Sam Altman himself. But he goes on, and then Liz Lopatto explains what you really should do. And she has some recommendations for pens and notebooks. And I'll tell you, Rob, I found myself almost buying one of these notebooks she recommends, because these notebooks look fantastic. And then I had to slap myself in the face, because I used to be a notebook person and I gave it up. And I realized that as much as I do like the process of writing things down, and I do like notebooks, and I do like fiddling around with pens and pencils and all of that kind of stuff, I just like the convenience of digital won me over to the point where I just like having everything with me all the time and not accidentally sending my notebook through the laundry or losing it or not having enough pages left or whatever it happens to be. So I don't do it anymore. But these notebooks, I did go on Reddit and read a little bit about these notebooks. This was me procrastinating this morning as I got my day started, because there were mixed opinions about these. A lot of people thought these notebooks were more marketing hype than they are good quality. I will leave that to the Bujo community to determine instead of myself. And I did want to mention Bujo just because it's a word that I try to bring to a podcast at least once a year, because I think it's the funniest word in the productivity universe, which stands for bullet journaling, which is a system of taking notes.
And every time you say it, my eye twitches a little bit.
It's bullet journaling has been shortened to Bujo, and I think that is kind of a tragedy, honestly. But I'm not even going to.
While we're on the topic of Bujo, I can't believe you made me say it. Yeah, I have some friends who use it. You know, they say, "Oh yeah, it works for me for doing my notes and my to-dos, whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's have a little look into it." You know, whatever. You go to their website, and it's like cult. It's just cult level courses and all sorts.
Yes.
And then I go to YouTube, and every video is 25 minutes long. I'm like, it cannot possibly take this long to explain your note-taking system. And if it does, you've done something horribly wrong.
Yeah, it's funny because I think that every productivity trend that has ever been invented at some point devolves into cult-like status. It's very true with a lot of what happens with Obsidian.
Oh yeah.
And all the PKM stuff, you know, the personal knowledge management stuff, and the graphs that people make of their connected notes and their outboard mind and
the graph,
outboard brain. And all. I mean, I dip my toe into these communities on a regular basis because there are a lot of good ideas in there and people do some interesting things, but it does go a little overboard. And then you get the grifters and the hucksters coming in and selling people like expensive online courses that will make them smarter and more productive, which I never like. So that usually sours me on most any system is when the grifters show up, which they inevitably do.
I'm on the Obsidian subreddit. And like you say, there are some good ideas and people are, oh, this is how I'm organizing this thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But every other post is somebody who's like, oh, I've been on Obsidian a week. Look at my graph. Okay, I guess like I could go in and link all of my notes. It doesn't mean anything. Like it's. I turn off the graph feature within the first week. I don't use Obsidian in a way that most people I think do. I just use it pretty much like a text editor. I mean, there's some value to linking things, and I do some linking, but not like. There are whole plugins on Obsidian that are designed simply to tell you which of your notes aren't linked to anything yet so that you can link them to something. Oh. And if I have a note that's just out there not linked to anything, that's fine. I don't care. Wow. It doesn't have to be linked to anything. And oftentimes I delete my notes. I very aggressively delete stuff that's old. I mean, especially if it gets published somewhere. Yeah. Well, you know, you've got all these orphan notes that are not linked to anything. I don't know how you can just leave them there. They're not even in your graph, John. Come on.
I don't love the orphans enough is the problem. That's really the takeaway.
Right, I'm not putting that as a title because
I'm just here fishing for titles, aren't I? I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of maybe I should, of these notebooks. They're the Turm 1917 notebooks. They're German, I think. Yeah. And they come in multiple sizes and very bright and lively colors, which I actually kind of like that. And then you can get a matching pen or pencil in the same finish. Thought that was kind of nice. But I just like, I like Liz Lopato's writing a lot. She's good at taking things down a notch, and she takes down Sam Altman's note-taking style quite a big notch. Which I kind of enjoyed, especially since he's throwing paper on the floor for somebody else to clean up, which, you know what, Sam Altman, shame on you. Stop it.
Yeah, you suck.
You suck. Act like a grown-up. Clean up your own mess.
No, it's just rude. It's just so rude.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we say it's Blue Sky Week? Because I'm pretty sure it's Blue Sky Week. People are excited.
It is Blue Sky Week. I talked to Brendan Bigley on App Stories at length about Blue Sky, and I don't know. I mean, we've been speed running the whole gamut of Blue Sky's great, Blue Sky sucks, Blue Sky's great. Oh, third party app, awesome. Blue Sky suck. You know, it's like. Every day there's like either someone thinking it's wonderful or it's terrible or something else.
Oh, the worst one was this guy, Robb Knight. He did like 3 blog posts in 2 days about it.
Yeah, he must be on their payroll.
Yeah. No, I got caught. You were absolutely right. Like, we're speed running, like everybody's signing up for this service because they want to use Blue Sky because, you know, nobody wants to be on Twitter anymore. I guess something happened over there. I don't even really care what happened, but a lot of people were leaving.
It basically got worse after the U.S. election.
Sure.
I mean, it was already very bad, but I think it just got like particularly bad.
Yeah. And I ended up sort of, I wrote a blog post about my initial thoughts about it.
Yeah.
And then I wrote another one, and then I wrote another one, and I actually have a draft in Obsidian that I'm not posting because I just don't care. A week later, I'm like, no, do you know what? I'm not even going to post it. Nobody wants to read it. I certainly don't want to read it.
It's the new hotness, right? I mean, everybody's excited about the new thing, and you and I kind of had it on the brain for a while because we were both working on getting all the Mac Stories accounts set up one Sunday afternoon, and so you're deep in the
DNS records for the
DNS
custom,
records, right?
The custom domains.
Yeah, you're in the DNS records, and I was setting up the accounts and trying to get everything squared away. And it's surprising when you have to do 7 or 8 of those, how much work it actually is between profile pictures and descriptions and initial posts. And it wasn't hard work. I was sitting watching Christmas movies while I did it, but we both were thinking about it a lot and exploring the various features and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I talked about it a lot on Bluesky, so we don't have to talk about it a bunch here too. But there are aspects of it that I think are really good. I mean, I do think, for instance, the search is really robust compared to Mastodon. Mastodon search is better than it was when I signed up, but it's not a lot better. It's not a good research tool. And to me, like, one of the things I want to be able to do a search to say, what was that thing that Robb said a few weeks ago, and I can find it again. I don't want to have to bookmark things or save them. I want to be able to find stuff with search if I can. And that's really practically impossible with Mastodon. The best I usually do is, like, if I knew you said it, I would literally just scroll through 3 weeks of your posts until I found it again, which is awful if it's somebody who posts a lot.
Yeah, you can say it. It's me. Sometimes it's me.
Sometimes it's you. But the thing that I discovered a couple of days ago, I think I saw it first on 6 Colors, was this Nuzzle-like tool called Sill that someone has developed, and it basically goes through your timeline and finds the most posted URLs and then presents them to you on a web page, and then you have an option of getting like a daily email summary of them. And it's a neat idea. I never was a huge Nuzzle user, mainly because I feel like by the time I looked at Nuzzle, I'd already seen all the links. Maybe that just is, that's my problem. I shouldn't be online so much. But I did see, like, for instance, and I've only done this for a couple of days, but I did look at it this morning and found some, like, Black Friday deals that I hadn't seen the day before, because I don't read social media as religiously as I used to. So maybe this will be a good tool to use. And it's an open source project. So, I mean, I immediately asked you, like, what you thought of it, because to me, I'd rather, instead of an email, I'd rather have an RSS feed instead of that.
Yeah, which I did do. I downloaded the code to have a look. I couldn't quite work out where the email was being sent out, but it's definitely possible. The code is pretty self-explanatory. I just didn't I couldn't quite work out where the email was being triggered to then add those to an RSS feed, but it's totally possible. And you are right. Like, when I used whatever the Nuzzle, I had the same problem, because me and you were pretty chronically online, and I would have seen all the articles.
Right.
But I'm not checking Bluesky religiously right now.
Neither am I.
I mean, mostly because I'm not really there necessarily to switch to it. I don't really want to switch to it. Like, that's just not something I want to do. But I do. Yeah, I want. I mean, I feel like I need to be there.
Right. I feel compelled to do my normal disclaimer that comments in favor of Bluesky does not mean abandonment of any other service,
including
but not limited to the following social networks.
Yeah, I think one of the things I got as well was like, some of my blog posts, or at least some of the things I said, were fairly critical of Bluesky.
Yeah, and there are things that are worth being critical about. It's far from perfect. It's not really what they say it is, because it's not really federated. Maybe it'll get there, but it certainly isn't today.
Yeah, and there's certainly some problems that Liliane has pointed out to us about, block lists and being public, and you can't really opt out of starter packs and things like that. There are big issues with the way that it's been built, and Mastodon has its own set of problems. But just because we're critical doesn't negate the fact that we either want or need to use the service as well. It's
right.
The Mac Stories podcasts and your account and stuff like that. I want as many people as we can get to listen to Ruminate. Exactly the same as the other podcasts on Mac Stories.
Right.
Okay, yeah, we're not on X because I feel like there's a line that we draw at some point and say, no, we're not doing that. But we can be critical of Bluesky, but it's not the worst platform in the world. Like it's fine. It's a new platform. Things are changing, and it does the job. It kind of is, and clearly people like it, because a lot of people who stayed on Twitter are now on Bluesky, and those people never came over to Mastodon.
Right. Well, and I mean, that's part of why I'm using it for at least for my personal needs, is that it's like there are communities and topics on there that just really are underrepresented on Mastodon. Mastodon is still where like the majority, I think, of the Mac Stories community went, and so it's probably the most important of any of them to me. But as important as it is, I'm also critical of it because I don't think it works very well. At least it doesn't work well in the ways that I want it to work well.
Mm-hmm.
It works very well in certain respects. I mean, I think that it has been very intentionally designed to be the way it is, and I think it serves a lot of good purposes in that sense, but it also is at the expense of other potential features that they could have. Bluesky, on the other hand, is literally architected so that every aspect and every feature is effectively public if you know how to use the API, which I don't think is a good thing. I don't think that anybody should see who I block.
No.
And I don't think that I think I should always have a way to pull myself off of a starter pack. I mean, those kind of things could be used for harassment against people. There's, you can, as much as it's nice to be included in a list of, tech journalists, you don't want to be included in a list that's meant to put a target on your back for other people to harass you. And that's one way starter packs could be used too. So yeah, there are a lot of issues there. And I don't know that a lot of those are very easily fixed either, since it's such a deep layer in the way the thing is architected, from what I understand.
I mean, to quote from my unpublished blog post, which I don't think I'm going to post, but it feels like, from a technical standpoint, yeah, great. It all does what it's supposed to do. Fine. I don't really think we really need to get into that, but it feels like it was designed by people who have never had to consider consent or opt-in, or,
right.
It feels like this same thing with the AI all over again, where it's just like, oh, what do you mean consent? We're just going to, make everything public. Why not? Like, this is the internet. And it doesn't feel like there's been any considerations for, as you say, like the vectors for abuse or harassment. I mean, to take, there's a Mac Stories starter pack, and, when you posted about that, mine, yours, the rest of the Mac Stories team, like, our notifications were crazy for a couple of days because
right.
everybody was following that starter pack, which was absolutely the point of the starter pack. But it's quite easy to imagine how that could be a problem if you added somebody to a starter pack who didn't want to be there.
Yep, absolutely. And, there is a vibe of some of this AI stuff. I had an experience right away with Mastodon where Federico texted me. He's like, "What the hell is this?" And it was another account that looked just like the Mac Stories account because they were basically cross posting our RSS feed, and they took it down. I asked them to take it down because it was causing confusion with people. And RSS is totally open and free and everything, but I really shouldn't have to be opting out. I mean, people really shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. I didn't really, it wasn't like a huge deal. I didn't feel like I was being ripped off in the same way I felt I was being ripped off by generative AI. On the other hand, I kind of felt like I shouldn't have to police our account on Bluesky in that way. But
yeah,
anyway,
I feel like that is a very strange thing. And it happened with Mastodon even a few years back, like 2016, 17, when I was on there as well, where there seemed to be this thing where it was like, oh, well, the New York Times aren't here, so we're going to make a New York Times account with their RSS feed. And so you could just use RSS. It's right there.
Yeah, there was a bunch of fake Verge accounts at one point too, I remember.
Yeah, and I guess this speaks to how a lot of people want to get their news, which is they just want it in between, they're following me and you, whoever, and they're quite happy also to just have the New York Times or my mind's gone blank now. I'm sure there's other newspapers, but you get my point. Like,
yeah,
I don't think people necessarily just, the general population, they don't necessarily want an RSS reader. They're just like, well, why can't it just be on the social network I'm on, which is kind of fine, but also, as you say, that can cause confusion, and it I don't know. I find the whole thing very strange because the last thing I want is news in my feed like that. I want people. I want interesting things.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Well, it's a new place. It's got its growing pains. It's a shame that they're not architected better for, I don't know, I guess user control more than anything else over both their identity and their exposure to other people. But like, as you said, we're there because, the reality in 2024 is that social media has been splintered apart into multiple places. And if it were up to me, I don't even know if I would be on Threads, for instance. But the reality is that some of our audience is there too, and so at least from a Mac Stories standpoint, it makes sense for us to be everywhere, because that way everybody who wants to hear what we're doing can hear what we're doing, and as a result, I just split my time between all three of them. And fortunately, there are tools like your Echo feed, which are fantastic for at least managing some aspects of this, because we publish our RSS feeds through Echo Feed to all the services now.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, since the last I guess it was pretty much just after we recorded last time, but since then, like, Bluesky particularly has been very popular with Echo Feed. People setting things up, and also just because of the way the usernames work, I've had a few sort of support emails and stuff, but I can see it like ticking up quite quickly. Clearly people are interested in getting their stuff into Bluesky as well. And I've done the same. It's not, there's 15 million users now or something like that. Is a big audience of people.
Yep.
That are obviously, I don't think Ruminate's suddenly going to get 15 million listeners, but potentially there are more people there that we've not reached in the past, either, through other methods, the website, us posting about it, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not surprised, I guess, that Echo Feed has seen a bump up since Bluesky picked up too, because, it's one thing to kind of cross post manually to a couple of social media accounts, like if you're on Mastodon and Threads, but once you decide you're going to actually add the third and try to do Bluesky too, that's when you really start needing a tool more than anything else. And so I bet that is what drove a lot of people your way.
Oh, absolutely. And this was always the reason Echo Feed came about wasn't even, I think a lot of people see it, they go, oh, I'm just going to post everything everywhere. But for me, it's more about consistency, so Ruminate gets posted and I want to put the little microphone emoji at the beginning. And then the name of the episode, the URL, and then the description. And okay, I could do that for one place, but then if we're then posting it to Bluesky as well, or, Threads or whatever, all of a sudden that becomes very complicated very quickly. And if you're doing it for a few different feeds, or, in Max Story's case, podcasts and stuff like that. And this was how I always envisioned the service, and it's how I use it. Lots of people use it in different ways. But yeah, I think this Bluesky thing's really highlighted. Like, yeah, people you can't expect people to do this manually. Otherwise you just have to hire somebody full time.
Yeah. And that's kind of like part of my job, but it's like only one very small part of all the things I do. So I can't like have all my time sucked up posting to multiple accounts. Mm-hmm. It's already gotten kind of out of hand, but at least with Echo Feed, the RSS feeds, those things all get published automatically. So the only things that I'm posting are the one-offs, the things that are different between services. Mm-hmm. Because for whatever reason, I think, we ought to mention this on this, but not necessarily on this other thing. Or I want to do it very much tailored to that service where I have to mention a bunch of people and they have different, logins in each one. I mean, unfortunately, you can't obviously do anything about that in Echo Feed, but that's why I still use, do it manually. And once in a while, I'll even use Buffer.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought long and hard about how that could be handled in Echo Feed, and it just can't. So unfortunately, we have to stick with doing those manually.
yeah, that's just fine, which is fine. All right, Rob. Well, I think that's probably good for today. We're rolling into Thanksgiving. This is going out 2 days before Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to you, even though it's an American holiday. Maybe you should have some stuffing or something.
Yeah, I'll see what I can. See what I can find in the cupboards. Maybe some turkey if I've got some. Maybe if I see some.
Very good.
All right. Speak to you soon.
Okay, bye.